Professional sports only NASCAR begins with its biggest event. Welcome to Fox Sports coverage of the Daytona 500. I'm Mike Joy with Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, the Daytona 500, the great American race. It's the Super Bowl, it's the World Series, it's the Kentucky Derby, all rolled into one.
The 500 has always been the biggest race of any season.
It has, Mike, and there's the guys that are favorites, but I love Dale Jr. in this race. This track means a lot to the Earnhardt family, and I love to see Dale Jr. win this thing.
All right, 200 laps. Let's go. Welcome to Fox Sports coverage of the Subway Fresh Fit 500. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip for this annual Duel in the Desert.
Mike, it's an interesting racetrack. It's 1 mile. It's been reconfigured, and they got that dog leg up the back, and that opened up some passing lanes, if you will. You can cut that dog leg, but you got to be careful when you come back up on the track.
The 1 mile Phoenix International Raceway sits in stark contrast to the 2.5 mile superspeedway at Daytona. Today, we'll have a chance to see who the early season flat track specialist of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is. Las Vegas Motor Speedway and Fox Sports coverage of the Cobalt Tools 400. Alongside Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy.
Mike, do you feel lucky today? Well, there's going to be a lot of gambling going on at this place. The progressive banking here makes this track very fun to drive. The drivers like it a lot, and you're going to see an exciting race. I can promise you that.
Jimmie Johnson's a 4-time winner here, but is he the favorite?
Well, we'll go into the Neon Garage and find out, because there are several favorites that we got to keep our eye on today.
All right, Darrell, we're ready to race just north of the famed Las Vegas Strip. And I've got to ask, do you feel lucky? It's Bristol, baby. Welcome to Fox Sports coverage of the Food City 500. Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy.
Mike, have you ever been caught in a blender? Have you ever gotten into the cul-de-sac and tried to run 500 laps around your neighborhood? No, but that's what Bristol is all about. It's like flying airplanes in a gymnasium. I love this racetrack.
Darrell's won here 12 times. The Busch brothers and Jeff Gordon, 5 apiece.
I'm going with Kyle Busch. He owned this joint since I let him have it. But anyway, he owns this joint, Kyle Busch.
All right, Darrell, here we go. High banks, high anxiety. Racing's a contact sport. Sunny Southern California, welcome to Fox Sports coverage of the Auto Club 400. I'm Mike Joy with Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, this racetrack is a big 2 mile, big sweeping turns. You need everything you got in a race car. You need great horsepower, great aerodynamics. One more thing, Mike, good fuel mileage.
Yes, 4 distinct corners, 90,000 fans at the ready. Who's favored today?
Well, I got to go with Jimmie Johnson, Mike. 5 wins here. His average finish is 5.4, if you can believe it. Jimmie Johnson.
We're not far from Surf City and the Hollywood Lights. Let's see who'll be California dreaming at the end of this one. Welcome to Fox Sports coverage of the Goodies Fast Relief 500 from Martinsville, Virginia. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
You know, Mike, we call this the paperclip. Those long straightaways, tight turns, really hard on brakes, and you're going to need some good brakes if you're going to win here today.
Concrete corners, asphalt straightaways, a real challenge.
It is. The transition from one to the other, you get a lot of wheel spin. That's what these guys will be working on.
Folks, let's get ready for some short track slam and bang at the friendly confines of NASCAR's shortest track. Here we are at one of America's greatest cathedrals of speed. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to Texas Motor Speedway and the Samsung Mobile 500.
Mike, you hit the nail on the head. This joint is bad fast. It's one of the fastest tracks on the circuit. It's also one of the biggest races. Everybody comes here, they want to win those cowboy hats and shoot those 6-shooters.
Carl Edwards has 3 wins here, 5 drivers tied with 2 apiece.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys I think you can favor here. The Roush cars look really, really good this week.
They say everything's bigger in Texas. Let's find out who's best in Texas. Welcome to America's heartland for Fox Sports coverage of the STP 400 at Kansas Speedway. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, a very entertaining racetrack to come to. A lot of things in the area right here around the racetrack to go and do. And I tell you the thing that the drivers have got to pay attention to, those big cracks in the racetrack with the dark sealer. You'll see them. They really upset your race car. You got to be aware of those.
Kansas is a 1.5 mile track, but it's no cookie cutter. It has its own unique challenges. Out here in the Great Plains, they love their stock car racing. Big crowd on hand for today's running Let's find out who's best in the Midwest. Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Fox Sports welcoming you to tonight's coverage of the Capital City 400 from Richmond.
Mike, most of the drivers consider this track to be their favorite. They love racing here. They like the open spaces that you have in the corners, kind of get 2 or 3 wide. It's fast, but not too fast. Close, yeah, maybe too close.
Boy, that curving front straightaway, that takes its toll.
It does, Mike. It wears you out. This place is a lot more physical than it looks like.
When they started here in the early 50s, this was a half-mile dirt track. Now at 3/4 of a mile with a looping front straightaway, many drivers say this is the perfect combination of short track and super speedway. Let's find out. Welcome to the world's fastest super speedway, Talladega, Alabama, and Fox Sports coverage of the Aaron's 499.
You know, Mike, everybody complains about restrictor plates on these cars at Daytona and Talladega. The cars may be restricted, but the racing isn't, Mike. It's going to be wild and crazy today. You better hang on to your helmet.
Well, Darrell, will we see pack racing or the two-car tandem?
I think you'll see a combination of both, but I think the guys that can break out at the end, a two-car tandem, that's what will win this race.
Talladega has a great history of thrilling action, and for some reason it tends to favor first-time winners. Wonder if we'll get one of those this afternoon. It's Mother's Day weekend, and we're at one of NASCAR's most historic racetracks, Darlington Raceway, for the Bojangles Southern 500. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Well, you call it Darlington. I call it the Lady in Black. I call it the Lady Too Tough to Tame. This place, Mike, is a driver's track. It's one of the crown jewels. It's the one you want to have on your resume.
David Pearson's won here a dozen times. Jeff Gordon, 7 victories here. Who do you like?
I like Jeff Gordon. You know, he's been on a roll lately. I like Jeff Gordon, but Jimmy Johnson will be right on his tail.
It's narrow, it's fast, and the wall is unforgiving. Who this evening can tame the track too tough to tame? Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway in the feature event of stock car racing's All-Star Night, the Sprint All-Star Race. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Pretty simple, Mike. Checkers or wreckers. Everybody builds a special car for this race because it's a special race. A lot of money, no points. It's boys have at it at its finest.
No points? No problem. Some teams approach this race as bring home the checkered flag or just bring back the steering wheel and let it all hang out. A lot of fans, a lot of money on the line. Why not? It's the Sprint All-Star Race, and it's ready to go. Car racing's longest night. Welcome to the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. I'm Mike Joy alongside Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, this is the longest race we have all year long. It's 600 miles. It's grueling. It wears you and your car out. It just, the team, everybody has to get involved to be able to win this race. This is the toughest race on the circuit.
Joey Logano has the best average finish here. Jimmy Johnson 6 wins, Jeff Gordon's 5. Who are you picking?
Well, I like the way it came down last year. You know, between Kevin Harvick and Dale Jr., Harvick won. Got to get good gas mileage. Just ask Dale Jr.
All right, Darrell. At Charlotte, the nighttime is the right time. Here we go. Welcome to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware for Fox Sports coverage of the FedEx 400 benefiting Autism Speaks. For Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy.
Mike, they call this place the Concrete Canyon. They call it Miles the Monster. They got a big statue out front of old Miles. You know why he's out there? Because he will reach out and grab you, baby. This place is tough. It's concrete. It's a tough race.
Darrell, you run the bottom of the corner. It's a long way to that hard wall up top.
Yeah, and the straightaways, we call this a self-cleaning racetrack because the straightaways are banked a lot, too. If you get in trouble, down the hill you go into that inside retaining wall.
It's a tough place to survive for 400 miles. Hi, everyone. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to the Tricky Triangle, the very unique Pocono International Raceway for today's Pocono 400.
Mike, this place is crazy fast. It's unbelievable how fast they're turning this 2.5-mile racetrack. Long straightaways. Watch these guys snake their way down through here as they try to pick a draft up off of each other.
Darrell, this race 100 miles shorter than last year. Will that make a difference?
It's going to make a huge difference. You can go flat out, but one thing you have to always remember, fuel mileage. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Right. If you run out of gas on the front straightaway here, it's a long way around this unique trioval. A Motown madness right outside the Motor City. We're at Michigan International Speedway for today's running of the Quicken Loans 400.
Mike, we got a new surface, and the track is fast. It's really fast. But the other important thing that teams always consider when they come here, this is a manufacturer's battle. You want to win this race for your particular manufacturer. Very important to them.
Sure, Detroit is the Motor City, and all of the Detroit Big Three have all their folks out here to see one of their cars win. Ford, Chevy, Dodge, or will it be a Toyota in victory lane today? Welcome to one of America's most challenging road courses. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip with you at Sonoma for the Toyota Save Mart 350.
Mike, a little bit different racing today. You know, we're going to go left and right here. You'll see the foot cam. You're going to see some heeling and towing. You got to be a road course specialist to do well on this track.
A lot of elevation change here, Darrell, and those long looping S's.
Yeah, elevation, that'd be up and down, right? Well, this is going to be an up and down day for some of these guys.
Conserve the brakes, don't over-rev the engine, take it easy on that transmission, and most importantly, stay on the pavement, both left and right sides. Welcome to NASCAR's newest Sprint Cup track. For today's running of the Quaker State 400, I'm Mike Joy with hometown hero Darrell Waltrip.
Oh, yeah, my old Kentucky home, Mike. The track's got a few bumps in it here and there. The drivers don't complain about them a lot. Says it gives the track character. I like a track with character.
And we've got a cast of characters in this field today.
Yes, we do. And, of course, we've only been here a couple of times, so hard to predict the winner.
You're right, Darrell. Most teams' notebooks are pretty thin on this place, but Kentucky shares a lot of characteristics with some of the tracks we've been racing at for a long, long time. So the question is, who has the right combination of horsepower, handling, track position, and pit stops to win today? World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, for our coverage of the Coke Zero 400. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, this race is run at night, but this track is so hot and so slick. And you know, they have a great fireworks show after the race, but we're getting ready for one in the race.
Who do you like tonight? Jeff Gordon has 6 wins here.
Well, there's a number of guys that I like. David Reagan. He's run this race before, but you got to keep an eye on that 88 car, man. The Earnhardts love this racetrack.
All right, Darrell, time to go. Hi, everyone. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to Loudon, New Hampshire for the Lennox Industrial Tools 301.
Mike, this is a 1 mile racetrack. It's got a very narrow groove. It's hard to pass. You know how you pass here, Mike? A little bump and run.
When Bob Bear bought this place, it was a sleepy little 1.6 road course, an 1/8-mile oval and drag strip. And he's turned it into a super speedway that all New England is proud of, and over 90,000 come every race to pack this place and watch NASCAR's best. Who will be best on the Magic Mile today? Hello, everyone. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to the greatest race course in the world for the Your Heroes Name Here 400 at the Brickyard.
Michael went out this morning, played a round of golf, came in, watched the cars go around the track. This place, so much tradition, so much history. This is a track that you just got to win on.
IndyCar since 1911 and NASCAR since 1994. Who will cross the yard of bricks first today?
Jeff Gordon. Put your money on Jeff Gordon. He's the man.
Well, Jeff has more wins here than anyone else in the field. But at Indianapolis, this could be anybody's day. It's all about maintaining track position. Hi, everyone. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to today's coverage of the Pennsylvania 400. 3 different length straightaways, 3 different radius turns. Which one do you set up for, Darrell?
Mike, most of the guys like to set up for turn 3. If you can get off of turn 3, where does that lead you to? It leads you to the start-finish line, and you want to get there first. Turn 3, that's the critical spot.
The 3 unique turns were patterned after popular IndyCar tracks when Pocono was built. Turn 1, Indianapolis. Turn 2, Trenton. And Turn 3, the Milwaukee Mine. They're all different. They're all unique. It's Pocono. I'm Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to Watkins Glen International, where they've been having great racing since 1949.
Mike, this is a fast road course. You carry a lot of speed around here. Up that back straightaway, into the bus stop. Tony Stewart seems to be the guy that's got this place figured out the best.
It's a road course, Darrell, but it's a momentum racetrack.
It really is. The way you go down in the first turn, you got to catch a gear all the way down to first gear there, and then up through those S's, watch for some exciting racing. Again, going into that bus stop.
There's a little time to be gained, and there's a whole lot that can be lost, both entering and exiting each one of Watkins Glen's unique turns. Welcome to Brooklyn, Michigan, not far from the shadow of the home of America's auto industry, for today's running of the Pure Michigan 400.
Mike, I'm a little more comfortable with going into the race today. We've got a notebook. We've got a race under our belts here. The race was exciting in the spring. Wait till you see what's going to happen here today. Aerodynamics and horsepower, big factors in the race today.
Darrell, they can run 5 and 6 wide here, but will they?
Yes, they will, Mike. I guarantee you. This track has really got a lot of grip in it, and the speeds are fast, and the boys are happy.
Along with California, it's the widest track on the circuit. 3 wide, no problem. 4 wide, commonplace. 5 wide? Yeah, you'll hear that too. It's the wildest night in stock car racing. Welcome to Bristol Motor Speedway and the Irwin Tools Night Race. And Darrell Waltrip, this place is going to play to a packed house tonight.
This is one of my favorite racetracks, Mike. I love the short tracks. They call this the last great Coliseum, and I know why, because you got to be a gladiator to compete here.
Tonight is racing's answer to, if you build it, will they come? Bristol used to struggle to fill 20,000 seats. Fans kept coming. They kept increasing. Now they've got 165,000 seats here. Not that the folks ever sit down on them for very long. This is an action track, Darrell. Ready to go? Welcome to Hampton, Georgia, and our coverage of the Advocare 500. Alongside Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy.
Mike, I love this racetrack. It is so fast. When you head off in the first turn here, you're wide open. You go down in the corner. It's like riding a roller coaster. This joint is fast, and it will get your attention.
Bobby Labonte has 6 wins here, Darrell, and Jeff Gordon 5. Who do you like today?
I like Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson is who I'm going to put my money on. He's got a 10th place average finish here. Jimmy Johnson's the man.
Atlanta's long been one of NASCAR's fastest and most competitive speedways. Will today's winner be right down around the white line in the corners, or will he be up in the Harry Gant groove, almost scraping the outside wall? Welcome to tonight's coverage of the last race to see who makes the chase for the Sprint Cup. It's the Federated Auto Parts 400.
Mike, I think there's more drama in this race than maybe there is, maybe until we get to Homestead. Who's going to be in the chase? Who's going to make it? Who isn't? That's the big question tonight. It should be fun to watch.
There is so much riding on tonight's race, because after tonight, only the top 10 in the Sprint Cup points, plus the 2 winningest drivers in positions 11 through 20, will have a chance to win the Sprint Cup at the end of this season. And I like that we're going to settle this on a short track, the 3/4 mile here at Richmond. Well, let's find out who's in and who's out. Today we're in Joliet, Illinois to bring you coverage of the Geico 400. With Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy.
Mike, you know, this track lays out just a little bit different. It's not your typical 1.5 miles. It's got a little bit of a turn down the back straightaway, which sets up for third turn a little different than some of the other 1.5 miles we go to. Very interesting racetrack.
Tony Stewart's won 3 times, including last year, and Kevin Harvick twice. They've got to be among the favorites.
I think so, but Tony Stewart's got a great average finish here of 8.7, so you got to keep an eye on those smoke. He won this race last year.
Now that the points have been reset after Richmond, any one of the 12 Chase drivers would love to get their chase for the Sprint Cup started off with a win. To Loudon, New Hampshire, in today's running of the Sylvania 300 on this flat 1-mile oval. Darrell, who will get to hoist the lobster in victory lane today?
Good question, Mike. I tell you, this track is so slick, and the groove is very, very narrow. You've got to be patient here, but you've got to be able to use that old chrome horn, as we like to say, too.
It's interesting how this track surface will change over 300 miles. It might start out as a 1-groove racetrack, but as we race on, that second groove will open up and become very important. They've got a big Maine lobster waiting for the winner. Who'll get to crack its claws? Welcome to Dover, Delaware, and the Monster Mile for today's coverage of the AAA 400. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, this place is concrete, and that's what makes it so tough. It's different. They got a mascot here. His name is Miles the Monster, and old Miles will reach out and grab you. The concrete canyons here. I like this racetrack, but it's one of the most difficult.
You drive up out of the corner and then drive down into the next corner. It's 400 miles of fury, and the car is never level on this racetrack except when it's on pit road. Let's find out who can tame the monster today. Welcome to Talladega, Alabama for the only restrictor plate race in the chase, the Good Sam Club 500.
Mike, it's kind of a wild card race. It's the Lotto 500. These guys say when you come here, you're just gambling. You've got to be lucky to get out of here with a good finish, and that's what most of these guys are going to be looking for, a good finish.
Do you need a good partner, Darrell, or the right place in the pack?
No fun to dance alone. Got to have somebody to dance with.
These high-speed restrictor plate races are among the most unpredictable because the winner can come from deep in the pack if, as you say, he gets the right partner. 500 miles of holding your breath, ready to go at the fastest speedway on earth. Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway for tonight's Bank of America 500. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, you like playing at home?
Sure.
Well, all these teams do, and this is a home game for the race teams. They're all in the area right here. This is their home racetrack. Family, friends, everybody comes over here. Big, big night of racing.
A big super speedway, Darrell, a weather-sensitive racetrack, and one where strategy is key.
Well, racing into the night, that changes everything. It changes setup. This is one of the races in the chase. Everybody puts a lot of special emphasis in winning at Charlotte.
It's a short, fast ride to go home. Let's find out who will be first to the finish line. To Kansas Speedway in America's heartland for today's running of the Hollywood 400. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, these guys, these crew chiefs, they can throw away the notebook. This is a whole new racetrack. Progressive banking, extremely fast. Hang on to your helmet.
Along with Kentucky, Kansas is NASCAR's newest venue, and a whole city of entertainment options have grown up around this speedway. The folks in the Midwest, they like their racing as much as anybody in the country. And in its short history, this track has proven to be one of the most competitive in America. Welcome to the short track that thinks it's a super speedway, Martinsville, Virginia, for today's running of the Tums Fast Relief 500. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, you're going to need some of those Tums when this is over with. You get a little heartburn here, but you know what? Everybody wants more than anything else, that big grandfather clock, the most unique trophy in racing.
Tick-tock, let's get ready to rock. At NASCAR's tightest, shortest racetrack, they start with their tempers and fenders intact. But what will be left at the end of 500 laps?
You got it, Mike.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Texas Motor Speedway in Dallas-Fort Worth for today's running of the AAA Texas 500. Alongside Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip, I'm Mike Joy.
Mike, the guys like coming here because Eddie Gossage and his folks, they put on such a great show. A lot of festivities, a lot of things that go on around this racetrack, plus an exciting race.
Oh, it's pretty spectacular here.
You got that right, and the Roush cars seem to have this place figured out. They're the favorites for me.
They say everything's bigger in Texas. How big would a win be to your hopes in the championship chase today? Hi, everybody. Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip welcoming you to the penultimate race of this year's Sprint Cup season, the Cobalt Tools 500. Every team in the chase is hoping to come out of Phoenix with maximum points going into the season's final race next week at Homestead. So it's a matter of resource management, conserving what you've got, and getting good track position.
Things are going to tighten up. As we get near the end of the chase, this is a very critical race.
All right, Darrell, time to go. Hello, everyone. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip at Homestead Miami Speedway. Time to decide the Sprint Cup champion in today's Ford 400.
Mike, this is it. This is what it's all about. You come here, and when this race is over with, you know who the champion's going to be. This is a big weekend for these drivers.
Variable banking, two-groove racetrack, and in 2011 we had a tie here for the championship.
And we may very well have another one, Mike. This is the most exciting race of the year. It's what it all comes down to.
36 races, the longest season in all professional sports. And Darrell, It all comes down to this, the Ford 400. It's time to set the starting lineup for the Daytona 500 with a pair of 150-mile qualifying races, the Duel at Daytona. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, these races are fun because the driver has one responsibility. Don't wreck the car. Go out there, get some information, kind of prepare for the Daytona 500. So go out there, drive smart, and oh, by the way, try to win.
This is the opportunity these teams have been working on all winter. It's time to go earn a spot in the Daytona 500 or load up and go home. It's a brand new season, and Fox Sports coverage begins here at Daytona International Speedway with a race of last year's pole winners, the Daytona Shootout. I'm Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, this is an interesting race. It's almost like an all-star race. A lot of pride. Not any points, just money, a trophy, and to say that you won this race.
Any strategy?
Yes, sir. Flat out and belly to the ground.
So let's find out who's the fastest of last year's fastest qualifiers. And let's get this season underway here in Daytona.